The decision by the Minister of Home Affairs to terminate the Zimbabwean Exemption Permit program has been declared unlawful, unconstitutional and invalid. The case was brought by the Helen Suzman Foundation and the Consortium for Refugees and Migrants in South Africa after the minister announced the end of the program in 2021. And of course, there's been a lot of concern around the timing, around the application, the access to the system as we continue to talk about this matter and also the extensions that the minister has also put in this particular regard. Let's get reaction now from Luke Dzviti, who is with the Zimbabwe Immigration Federation, and he's the chairperson there. Look, you are smiling. You're delighted by the ruling, I suppose.
I'm very delighted, and I really welcome the court ruling that we have received. It seems justice is still prevailing in South Africa.
And for you, when you think about the 12 months that have now been put in place, especially because the court is saying there must be Part B, there's still Part B of this particular application, and all the conditions that have been put in there, that people should not be arrested, people should not be rounded up and all of that, what kind of reprieve does that mean then for someone who holds as an EP in South Africa? Yeah,
it's quite a good reprieve because the ZTP holders, they at first they were asylum seekers and they applied for visas. They've made all their lives here. They are supposed to be living in South Africa as permanent residents and as citizens eventually, because we have lived more than 14 years in South Africa. It's more than 14 years. Some have been here for close to 40 years, and the only place they know is home. We are quite happy with the court ruling of the extension by a year. That's until 28 June 2024, right? For Zimbabwe Immigration Federation to submit Part B, which might take 3 years longer. So we are likely bound to stay in the country until year 2027 in June. And we are fighting the hostile conditions which were set by the Department of Home Affairs. Fortunately, they have been declared unlawful and invalid. And the decision to terminate the ZTP has been declared unlawful, unconstitutional and invalid.
Tonight, we are asking the viewers for their views on this particular ruling, and some of them are not happy, and they say that the courts should not have ruled in this particular matter. They're not happy that this is the outcome of the court process, and they view this in a light, in different lights. What do you say then to someone who says, for them, they do not welcome this court ruling?
Those who are not welcoming the court ruling, apparently, I would say they are xenophobic. We've got white people here who have lived for many years, and we've got Angolans who actually got permanent residence. Nobody said anything. Operation Tudula is only fighting us and other organizations, but they are not doing the same thing to Indians and Angolans, and no one is saying anything about the Lesotho Exemption Permit, which is also ending. They are just quiet, So it's quite wrong to chase away especially kids. A lot of kids were born here before around year 2000 or a bit earlier, and the only place they know as home is South Africa. It would be wrong to remove a child back to Zimbabwe when he is supposed to be a citizen by birth. So it would be taking constitutional rights for the kids. And the minister also flouted PAJA Act, that's Promotion of Administrative and Justice Act number 3 of 2000, where you are supposed to consult with all of us before making a decision, which is gone also in the favor of Helen Suzman Foundation and also in our favor, right? So he flouted the PAJA Act on condition that you are supposed to first consult with all of us before making a decision. All you know is on 27 November 2021, Minister Kunkumbele in the President's office only announced and said your visas will end, your permits will end on 31 December. That's 1 month, 3 days later. You are supposed to make consultation with all of us to make representations.
And reading the court papers as well, when it comes to the ruling, it does also talk about the fairness of this particular process and saying that, the minister needs to look into this. Now, when it comes to, of course, the case in itself, what would make it a fair process for all of you? Is it that this goes ahead, but with consultation with all of you, or what would make this process fair for all of you as stakeholders?
Okay, the process hasn't been going well because we're not consulted, right? In the first place, if they had consulted us to make representation, would make representations. Certainly, the first representations were that when in 2014, when I applied for ZSP, the minister asked all ZTP holders to bring letters that they are permanently employed. So when they accepted letters of permanent employment, it means one is legitimate expectations that they will be here forever in South Africa. And so the ZTP holders started buying houses and started sending kids to school here and paying for pensions set to mature when one is 62. Imagine if someone is removed now, when he has contributed pension for over 20 years, which is set to mature when one is 62, it will not be all right. So for South Africans who feel that there are Zimbabweans who are taking their jobs, here we are only talking of about 178,000 ZTP holders, which the number has gone down to about 100,000. 100,000 people in a country of 56 million, we are talking of 0.01%. Removing all ZTP holders does not change unemployment rate in South Africa. It will remain exactly the same. It's only 0.03, it's close to zero. Right?
I think it's also, you would agree though, that maybe the picture is also compounded by the undocumented migrants as well, as South Africans are grouping everyone in one basket. Yeah, I think maybe you might agree with that, because when one watches some of what they're saying, it doesn't even sound like, they understand that the ZEP holders and those who are undocumented are not the same person. Yes,
ZEP holders are Zimbabwe Exemption Permit holders, and they are also illegal immigrants. It's wrong for people to be illegal immigrants in any country on earth. Anyone should just get a passport and use a correct point of entry so that they can be accounted for in the Republic, right? Our federation is not representing illegal immigrants, but what I can say about illegal immigrants, some have become illegal immigrants not because of their want. They had asylum seekers, and everyone knows how difficult it is to renew an asylum at Department of Home Affairs in Marabastad. They queue early in the morning or the previous night, only to be told when one is moved 10 meters that we've closed, now you can come tomorrow. And the next day a person comes, is being told your asylum expired yesterday, you're an illegal immigrant, we are now detaining you, taking you to Pretoria Central, so you go to be processed at Lindela repatriation. But some have become illegal immigrants because of inefficiencies at Department of Home Affairs. That's why so many have become illegal immigrants. But for those who come crossing the border illegally through the bush, bribing soldiers and doing all that, that is wrong. They must be deported, because it's wrong to be illegal immigrant in the first place in any given country on earth.
Are you confident, very briefly then, with Part B of your case?
Yes. Our Part B is going to re-look at the flawed processes Department of Home Affairs made for ZTP exemption holders. Like I spoke in the last few episodes, the application process at first was making ZTP holders apply as if they've never lived in South Africa and applying as if they're self-employed. Because you'll be asked to motivate as to why an employer got you instead of South Africa. It will make an applicant look as if he employed himself. The issue of writing a motivation for a waiver must be an issue between an employer and Labour Department certificate, and must not be involved with ZTP holders. ZTP holders should just go with the requirements, because one cannot tell Home Affairs why his employer did not get a South African. It's a flawed process, right? That's why we are fighting for removal of certain requirements. Some of them have been removed, like the police clearance and the radiology report, where one has to go and get tested his chest if he's still fine. But if someone is not fine, he did not come in that condition, right? It can happen anytime, and we are hoping that the issue of the waiver might soon be removed, because Home Affairs now have to go back to the drawing board.
And let's see then what happens with that, Luke. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much. I appreciate.
Thank you for the reaction there. That's Luke Dzviti, Zimbabwe Immigration Federation Chairperson.